Yo, what is up guys? It is your boy Ferro, and today we're going to be talking about the next level of Haki. Now we're going to see what the possible upgrade there is for each class of Haki. So Armament and Observation, and we're just going to use things we see in the manga as evidence to support our point. Now I will not talk about King's Haki because we simply don't have enough information about it, and I think it deserves another video of its own. So we're simply going to be looking at Observation and Armament for the time being. But first we're going to be talking about Observation Haki, as we have seen an advanced version of it in the manga and also different variations throughout the course of One Piece. Now Observation is a type or form of Haki that allows the user to sense the presence of others even if you can't see them. Obviously this is just one of the abilities it's capable of. You can also predict people's attacks, as we saw with Enel and the scene with Luffy versus Pacifista. It can also allow you to sense or measure how strong someone is, probably by looking at how strong their aura is. Now post time skip, anyone Luffy comes across, anyone that's a fighter, usually a fighter, he usually says something like "you're quite strong" or something like that. Again, he sees their aura and determines how strong they are. It's also the same thing with Sanji when Capone took him to Big Mom. He stated that he sensed Nekomamushi's strong aura, and I think he did the same thing with Big Mom where he called her an iron balloon. So this is the type of Haki that can gauge what level your enemy is at before you actually fight them, but it isn't exactly a perfect representation of how strong that individual is, as it only defines how strong their spirit is. So things like devil fruit powers are not taken into account, but it is a good way to measure the base level of who you're fighting. Now when Luffy meets Kaido for the first time, he's gonna be amazed of the level of his spirit. Personally, I think Kaido has the strongest armament amongst the Yonkos, just my personal opinion. There's also one more subcategory that allows the user to feel or sense one's emotions or their true nature, so you can probably tell when someone is lying or pulling a facade or even trying to trick you. There's only 5 people I know that have shown this type: Kobe during Marineford, Fujitora when the Straw Hats escaped from Dressrosa when he was looking at the citizens, Isa from Sky Island, and Otohime from Fishman Island. They've all shown to have this ability to feel people's emotion. So right now we have premonition, the ability to predict where an attack would hit; empathy, the ability to feel people's emotion; and the third one would be the ability to sense other people's aura and determine how strong they are or how strong their spirit is. So we've rounded Observation into 3 subcategories. Then we have what seems to be the next level of the premonition subcategory, or just observation overall, which is the ability to see into the future. Now you guys are obviously familiar with Big Mom's strongest commander. Personally, my favorite commander right now, I don't know, Ben Beckman or one of the Calamities might take over, but right now I have Charlotte Katakuri, the only person who has this level of observation. Now a variation of that could be perceiving time at a way slower rate. Now this could be a lot similar to Katakuri's version, as it has to do with time but a bit different. So it's gonna be like you stop time, but the way time flows for you is a bit different, and that could be really deadly in a fight. For example, if someone had this version of observation at the tea party, they would have that whole mess on lockdown because they would know every single thing that's going to happen in a matter of seconds. Again, time flows at a different rate for these individuals. 1 second for them could be like 5 seconds for you. Again, unlike Katakuri's version, which is more prone to distractions, this would be the perfect version to fight multiple individuals. And I think this is something we might see with Ben Beckman or even Shanks, as a lot of people think Shanks can stop time. This might just be him perceiving time at a slower rate, so it would look like he stopped time. Again, knowing Shanks to be most likely the strongest Haki user in the series right now, who's to say he won't be capable of using 2 advanced versions of the same class? So he would have the ability to perceive time at a slower rate, but he would also have the ability to see the future. Thinking about what Shanks has just scares me sometimes. Now before we move on to the next level of ornament, we have to talk about Devil Fruit and Observation Haki. Now one thing to note about Haki, or what I think about it anyways, is that when someone eats a devil fruit power, it becomes a part of their soul / spirit and changes it. Now what I mean by that is that the individual's Haki also takes on the trait of set devil fruit power. Now I'll talk more about it when I talk about the Armament Haki part, because I feel like devil fruit abilities has more an effect on Armament Haki than observation. We've seen Enel combine his observation with his lightning power, which gave him the power to hear electric waves and actually hear what people were saying, and this extended his range of observation to cover the entirety of Skypiea. So anywhere at any time he could hear what people were saying and he could body them. What Enel did at the start of the series was like crazy, because we haven't seen anyone till this day do something similar, and that to date is still one of the best observation feat alongside Katakuri's future sight. And this is an example of how observation can be amplified with a devil fruit power. Now it's not all devil fruit abilities, just some abilities that ties well into Haki. Now moving on to Ornament Haki, or Busoshoku. It's a form of Haki haki that allows the user to use their spirit to create an invisible armor around your body, which allows the user to touch the actual body of devil fruit users like Logias and Parameses. Now obviously, if you can't use haki, you can sense or see when someone is using it, because apparently it's supposed to be invisible, but you know, some people do know when people use Armament haki, like when Law noticed Luffy was using too much haki when he was using Gear 4th. Maybe he just saw his aura draining, and Sabo said the same thing during Dressrosa as well when Luffy went out of Gear 4th. Now there's the usual form that gives the user the ability to touch the devil fruit user, and there's a version that uses a higher concentration of your spirit, which is the black hardening, or you know, Busoshiku. But this version adds more power to your attack, other than the fact that it can bypass the defense of devil fruit users. Pretty much the majority of people in the new world can use this level of ornament, but the level of how strong it is depends on your spirit. Now the stronger your spirit, the stronger your haki is going to be. We've seen people like Cracker, Virgo, you know, these guys are like one of the best ornament users to date. We've seen Virgo actually create shockwaves with his haki, and Cracker's ornament was so strong to the point that it could overpower Luffy in Gear 2nd and Gear 3rd. And we've seen Luffy's Gear 4th, which I think is a special case because it was stated that it uses too much of it, which could relate to someone having the ability to use all of their haki to make it stronger than your base form. So it's like you're putting like multiple coats of armor on your body instead of just one, and I think that kind of drains you, and I think that's actually possible. So in this case, even if your haki is weaker than someone, you can use an over concentrated version of it to match that person's haki. Obviously, overusing it would come with some type of drawback. Luffy not capable of using haki for 10 minutes after Boundman is proof, and now I can only imagine what level ornament for people like Shanks or Kaido. We saw how Big Mom countered, you know, stopped Gear 4 with just a casual elbow. So ornament can probably get to levels where it becomes so strong that people can literally become invulnerable to damage, which is something people believe when it comes down to individuals like Kaido and his durability. Now the way I envision the advanced version of ornament would be extending your armor outside of your body. Now one thing we've seen with ornament is that you can only use it on your body or things that are like connected to you, like a sword or weapon. It has to be physically touching you for you to put ornament on it. It's not like you can just put ornament on a sword when it's like 5 meters away from you. So what I think an advanced version would do, again, like I said before, extending your armor out of your body, and you can make it into different shapes. Think of it like a force field or like Bartho's barrier, but made with your own spirit. And I think we've seen cases of this in the show. For example, I think Rayleigh and the Admirals have displayed this level of ornament. Rayleigh versus the elephant in the island he was training Luffy at, and when the Admirals reflected Whitebeard's quick attack. And I feel like this would give more versatility to ornament users in a fight. For example, Zoro loses his swords in Wano. He has nothing else to fight with, but now he can also use his no sword styles with blades made out of his own spirit, and this would enhance his fighting style even more when he doesn't have his blades. In return, it would allow him to stretch or change its form to anything he wants, and this is where I think it becomes a little crazy for devil fruit users to have this ability. Like I mentioned before, when someone eats a devil fruit, it merges with your spirit, so in essence your haki takes on the traits of your devil fruit. So if Luffy had this ability, he could create a wall barrier with his haki, but that barrier would also take on the stretching aspect of his devil fruit ability, so any attacks wouldn't just get blocked but would also be reflected back. Think of Hisoka from Hunter x Hunter and how he uses his Nen. I feel like Luffy may be capable of enhancing his ornament to work like that in future. And it's the same for any other fruit user. A fire devil fruit user would have a force field that can burn. A lightning devil fruit user would have a wall that can shock. A mochi ability user, you know, a Katakuri, would have a wall that can stick. You know, the list just goes on, and I feel like this adds more versatility for people that can use ornament in conjunction with their devil fruit. So I feel like the future of ornament isn't just going to become this bland thing where if one's haki is stronger than yours, that person wins. I feel like if this was added, it would spice things up for ornament users. And yes, I think we're going to see this at Wano with Kaido or his strongest calamity, because we saw Katakuri. I feel like Oda is just going around showing like the first mate of each Yonko and showing them using an advanced version of that type of haki. So we got the future side with Katakuri, and I think now that we're going to Wano, we're going to see something with ornament, as you know, it fits the theme of Kaido's crew, them being brute force and everything. So I think Kaido's strongest calamity will have an ornament that is like so strong that he can create like force fields and things like that. But anyways guys, comment down below what you think. Like the video if you liked it. You agree with the video, comment down below. It is Pharaoh, and I will see you guys later. Peace.